Hello, I'm Papa Nugs and I'm speaking with Eye to Eye ahead of my show at Patton's on the 15th of November. I think for me it was kind of the earliest memory I've got is kind of sat in my dad's car back in the day and he'd just be playing kind of like Red Hot Chili Peppers and I don't know, like Happy Mondays and stuff out of his car speaker. And I used to think that there was like a little bloke and like a little band like inside the radio that used to be singing the song. I've got a really clear like vivid memory in my head for some reason of thinking that having an image of what the Red Hot Chili Peppers looked like and they were inside like this car radio. And yeah, that was kind of how I really, like my dad definitely got me into music like super early, like back in the day. But then yeah, I didn't get into dance music until kind of when I was like a teenager, like a lot later, just from spending time at like my local skate park in Milton Keynes, and just like had these kind of like older pals that would just always be blaring out like kind of like jungle and garage and like pre-party music and stuff at the skate park. Jungle was the first thing that I was like collecting like absolute mad, and then garage came a little bit after that, just before I started uni. But because there wasn't really any kind of like solely garage nights at the time. That was actually why I started my night, was because I wanted to kind of like start a night that was like mostly like just garage and Leeds, and at the time there wasn't really anything like that, which is quite mad thinking now, given there's so many garage nights popping off there now, which is sick. But yeah, I think yeah, there was a good like 2 years. My first like year and a half of uni, I was pretty much solidly going to drum and bass nights. So this one, so this is one that's on Budum Tish on the I think everything on Budum Tish is gold. Yeah, they signed up my first ever record from me, and I was so happy because I've owned all these records already. This was before I even mixed vinyl. And yeah, everything on Socket to Me especially, so Alec Falconer, Desert Sound Colony and Harry Wills, these ones are all very sick. It's kind of just, I don't know, you can see very much that my tunes are influenced a lot by these guys, because it's just kind of like wacky, stripped back kind of breaks and like tech housey stuff. And yeah, these kind of a lot of my early productions was super influenced by like kind of this one in particular. This has got one of my favourite two-step tunes on it. It's a Harry Wills remix of Flip Flops Anonymous, I think it's called. There was two venues that really stood out to me. So there were these guys in the year above that ran a night called, it's a joke's name, it's called Mac and G's, and I really liked how the name was like kind of not serious, so that's partly kind of why I chose the name Papa Nugs. And then I would go to their nights and they'd just be throwing it around. They'd play a bit of disco, then a bit of garage, and then the last bit would just be kind of like they'd just be playing like fun, like kind of pop bangers from like the noughties. But I mean, when you're at uni, that's all you want really, isn't it? And they threw a really sick event at a venue called Hedgerow House, which I went on to then do loads of parties at. And there was another venue I went to, I can't remember if it was for one of their nights, I think it might have been for a different one, but it was called Sheaf Street in Leeds, which sadly is shut now as well. But these venues were just these like beautiful kind of like, I don't know, I was so used to basement clubs, I think, from like my early clubbing experiences and like a lot of the clubs in Leeds, and these ones were just like kind of like beautiful rooms with like high ceilings and like big windows on the side so loads of light could come through. So, you know, if you had a party in the day, it would be like super light and the space just didn't feel kind of like enclosed. And I think those are still like my favourite kind of spaces to like go and party and dance at, I think. COVID was such a break in the chain of, I think there was, you know, everyone talks about how kind of healthy and thriving dance music was before COVID, which it really was. You could really see it, you know, things used to sell out so far in advance. Being a promoter was a lot less stressful. And I think 2 years of COVID, where 2 years of these underground clubs not being open, was such a break in the chain of people going from that pipeline of, you know, they finish school and then maybe they go to like Boomtown or they go to Gotwood for the first time and then they discover dance music, and then they get to uni and they have all these venues like Wire that was kind of showing them all these new different types of music and stuff. And yeah, it's such a shame that there was this break in the chain that we're now kind of seeing the consequences of like the next couple of years later, because yeah, it's so sad seeing all these clubs closing and stuff. And you know, there's particular genres that, because they have so much traction on social media and have so much like virality on social media, those are kind of the only ones that people kind of tend to be getting into now, just because it's kind of like what they're most exposed to. And I don't know, I think a lot of people just really enjoy kind of like talking down on these genres or talking down on kind of like edits culture and as in general. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's such a good way for people to get, you know, I think edit culture is such a good way for people to get into dance music. You know, that's the first kind of dance music I was attracted to back in the day, was I discovered edits, then I got into the genres. And I think, I'm hoping what we're seeing now is that there's just kind of a delay. I think, you know, eventually there are going to be more people that are discovering these kind of different types of genres and the deeper kind of dance music that these venues were pushing. But I think there's just a delay. I still like dropping like the old two-step tune in, like 90s garage was my obsession, and like a lot of people are always asking kind of, oh yeah, you don't play garage anymore, but I still do. I still play the odd one that like I love, like the old school kind of vibes of, like, it fits in with kind of like the 90s house and trance I've been playing so long, and this one is probably the one I still play most often. It's just some mad fucking one-sided like bright green vinyl, K1 Hard Steppa is called. Originally heard it in like I think Alex T's garage hour back on Rinse back in the day, back when they used to do those kind of when was it, like pre-lockdown ones. Yeah, as soon as I heard it I was just obsessed. It's like such a kind of me kind of tune. It's just got like sick like pitched up 90s vocals, really stripped back two-step, and just like, yeah, really nice kind of like build-ups and switch-ups throughout. The sound that I used to be in, I used to be kind of involved in like the bass music scene, but the songs I was playing and the sets I was always playing kind of always had this slightly different, more, because bass music's super moody, and I feel like my sets have been kind of always had this more kind of like upbeat and kind of like fun and happy element to it. And after a while, just kind of the moodier that the kind of tunes in the garage scene that were coming out, that were all sick, and like it was amazing watching the production value go up, and like all these amazing producers in the scenes like fully find their feet with it, but it just kind of just really didn't resonate with me, kind of all the like super like dark stuff. It was all the old school soulful kind of upbeat garage that was what really like pulled me into that scene originally. But yeah, I think it was the big changing point was people ask this quite a lot, and I think it was just I kind of clocked that all the nights I was going out to were either like electro nights or house nights, and that was kind of it. I'd stopped going to garage nights completely just because it had all gotten a little bit too like heavy for me, or a little bit like kind of heads down and moody, which is, you know, what's so great about kind of like that dark bass music scene. But it just never really properly resonated with me. I kind of just like, I think I just like my kind of, yeah, upbeat groovers more. I think that's kind of something you'll always hear from kind of every song I've ever made. There's always like a wacky sample. Bakey and I have tried to make tunes together so many times, but because both of us just want to take it in such different directions, it never works, and we've never managed to like write a whole tune. But yeah, what I always take away from it is like a good bit of advice on how to program drums, because to me he's like one of the fucking just sickest like drums producers ever. And yeah, I made that breakbeat just after he had taught me like a couple little tricks about kind of where to put the tams and like, you know, how to like swing the drums like in the right way. So I was super happy with the breakbeat, and I was like, I had no idea what to put after it. I had this like really nice, like, I put the kind of bass line under it, like big rolling bass line, kind of like re-space, almost speed garagey sound, and I was like, cool, this would be perfect for like the instinct release. And then yeah, I think at the time I was just obsessed with kind of like, you know, old like Forte tunes, kind of that had like the, you know, the sitar samples over them and stuff. So I literally just typed into Google sitar music, like that was it. And there was this like, I think like 3 hour 15 long minute video, clicked on it, and I got so lucky I just clicked it around a point in the middle, and the first bit I heard was that riff that you hear in the song, and it's like probably the luckiest I've ever got with sampling. Discovered this track and just became like absolutely obsessed with it. Like I couldn't stop listening to it. It's got this kind of like crazy jazzy bass line, these like amazing like chords, like vocal chops. It's, I think, in my like kind of top 5 songs ever, definitely my favourite trance tune ever. I spent on Discogs was £70, and I was like, I'm not spending £70 on it. And then that would have been the most I'd ever spent on a record at the time. I think to this day it's still the most I've ever spent on a record as well. But yeah, the day that I was leaving, I got a notification from Royal Mail saying, oh, it's out for delivery today, it should be with you. And I was like, oh, that's annoying, but you know what, it's fine, I'll get it after New Year's. Just not going to be able to play it on that set. And then yeah, basically when I came home after New Year's Eve, I think it was on like the 4th of January, it still said 19th December out for delivery. There'd been kind of no update about it. And I was like, right, what's going on here? So I went to, so kind of got on a line bike and cycled over to the Royal Mail, the depot, and I went to the guy behind the desk. I was like, "Hi, this is saying it's been out for delivery. Like, have you got it here? Can I just pick it up?" He was like, "Yeah, sure. 1 second." And then he was like, "Oh, sorry, wait. What date is that? The 19th of December?" And his face just kind of went. He went, "Ooh," and I was like, "Right, what's going on?" And he was like, "Yeah, we had a robbery that day, yeah, a bunch of packages got stolen off of the Royal Mail cart, and this record, the most I'd ever spent on a record, £70, just got nicked." And I said, "Right, what do I do?" And the guy said, "Well, to be honest with you, I think you can try and like complain it." This is a guy that worked for Royal Mail. He was like, "You can try and complain it, but I don't think you're gonna get it back. I think you're gonna be fighting for a long time." So I was like, "All right, for fuck's sake, the record that I'd spent that much money on," and I just thought, you know what, it's meant to be. I'm not gonna have the record. And then yeah, just couldn't stop. Still, just couldn't stop listening to it, and just really wanted to play it out. Kind of, it's just such a good like closer at the end of a set. And then yeah, eventually I went to the pub, had a few beers, and then afterwards I was just like, screw it. Straight away bought another copy. So overall I spent £140 on this record. Sucker Punch is mine and my label partner Oisin's label that shows just how much we love tunes from, you know, the mid-90s to the mid-2000s really. And it's, yeah, the intention was always just kind of tunes that sound like they could in the 90s, or something that's just got elements of it that are like a proper homage to the 90s, and also just like very just hard-hitting club tracks really. That's kind of always been the aim. And yeah, just, you know, the main genres we said from the start were kind of like trance, tech house, electro house, and yeah, the intention is just to get out just kind of as much just good quality club music as we can. Future is, yeah, we're just going to be getting a lot more consistent EPs from other artists that I'm not involved in. So we had Sucker Punch 001, which was Mikey and Mixolydian, and then we've got some exciting stuff coming next year from Body Clinic. We've got Joe Koshin on one. Yeah, lots of good stuff to be coming out, man. So yeah.